Good evening. Welcome to English Tomorrow, where we discuss questions and complete reports on video at the last second. Today we will be discussing standardized testing. This basic method of quantifying our intelligence seems at first glance an unflawed system. However, these tests have two colossal shortcomings. The assessments do not at all achieve their goals of measuring the success of educators or of their students, and the time spent preparing for these tests could be better used to develop creative, innovative, or practical thought. But what exactly is the effect of these tests? This is Joe Quiche. He is a college junior studying business and applied mathematics at the University of Harvard. What is your experience with standardized tests? Has it been particularly positive?
No. I feel like these tests don't help because I end up studying only for the test and not after the test. In fact, there have been times when I feel dumber after a test because I left the knowledge I studied about on that test.
Do you feel there are any drawbacks to tests?
Well, yes, of course. With tests, there's no room to expand outward. I've always liked to go beyond what I'm taught and ask questions that elaborate or expand on what we're learning about. However, I've had many professors who, when I try to ask questions, they say, "We don't have time for that, it won't be on the final."
Do you think these tests are having a major negative effect on America?
Of course. Tests can't measure creativity and ingenuity, which I've always felt far more important than just intelligence. I had a friend who had a photographic memory and he aced every test. However, when it came to projects, he was a disaster. Couldn't do anything interesting and always got a horrible grade. Do you think he would do well in the real world? When we teach young Americans like this, we compromise the integrity of our workforce.
Do you believe there are any solutions to replace or repair testing?
Well, I don't know. I've always felt that school projects help expand my mind. That doesn't necessarily mean we should replace tests with projects, but I feel that it would help.
Well then, how can we solve this problem? Here to answer this question is educational psychologist Brad Winchest. First off, Mr. Winchest, do you think standardized tests are a bad thing?
Imagine you're driving a car and the federal government has mandated that you cannot look through the windshield, the mirrors, or any other gauges, save one. The speedometer, which you are forced to use as your only means of reaching your destination. While the speedometer does not need to be checked once in a while to ensure you're going a safe speed, a driver who looks at the speedometer and nothing else is going to crash. The fixation on the speedometer of education, or standardized test scores, is identical to the situation. Standardized tests essentially give teachers a speed limit, desired test scores, as the only means to categorize and determine the success of schools.
Now, why does testing have a negative effect?
Tests restrict the things necessary to create productive citizens. We will not need to know how to test outside of schools, so why learn it? Test preparation has consumed time that could be used in arts and sports.
What is your solution, Mr. Winchest?
Instead of spending $1.7 billion on tests, why not spend it on the most important aspect of education? Teachers. If we had better paid teachers who are more qualified, we would not have to test the measure of success of their students. Instead of micromanaging our school system, let's hire good employees so we don't have to constantly check if they're meeting national standards.
Well, there you have it. Standardized testing is an obvious thorn in the back of society that must be removed. As we have heard, the best way to fix this is to remove tests, hire more qualified teachers, and focus on more practical skills. This is English Tomorrow, wishing you a safe afternoon. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to cram for Mrs. Gumke's vocab test. Good afternoon. Welcome to English Tomorrow, where we discuss questions and complete reports on video at the last second. Today we will be discussing standardized testing. This basic method of quantifying our intelligence seems at first glance an unflawed system. However, these tests have two colossal shortcomings.
Okay, you were right.
Of course, tests cannot measure creativity and ingenuity, which I have always felt far more important than just intelligence. I had a friend who had photographic memory, and he aced every test. However, when it came to projects, he was a disaster. Could not do anything interesting and always got a horrible grade. Do you think he would do well in the real world? When we teach young Americans like this, we compromise the integrity of our workforce.
They had no choice. Their future depended on it. The time is now. Grab your pencils. Bring an eraser. Take your seat. It's starting. You have 1 hour. Pass or fail. Who's ready to test?
Math test? Oh no! I forgot all about the math test!